From a farming community in northern Luzon, Annalyn and Tony moved to the city some time ago to find a better life for their family. Years later, they still dream of a decent job for themselves, a home they can afford, a healthy family, and being able to keep their 3 children in school.
People say that the Philippines is getting richer, and I do see more cars on the road, huge houses behind high fences, and large shopping malls. But this is a kind of life that we can only dream of.
Annalyn's family is among the over 3 million poor households in the Philippines that have not benefited from the country's economic growth. Less than 1% of the population owns much of the country's wealth. Many are left behind. In 2015, the Philippines joined the member states of the United Nations in adopting Agenda 2030, including the 17 Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs, a 15-year plan to end poverty and hunger, ensure education and decent work for all, bring about income and gender equality, provide universal health coverage, protect the environment, and achieve lasting peace. The 17 SDGs work together to ensure that the fruits of development are enjoyed by all and that no one is left behind. Since 2015, the government and the UN have been continuously working together to harmonize plans and be responsive to the needs of the people. Our collective goal is to end poverty and help achieve peace and prosperity for all. Due to time and resource constraints in meeting all the 17 goals by 2030, the government and the UN in the Philippines have agreed to focus on the goals that present the greatest challenges, but which also have the potential for the most impact. While poverty was significantly reduced in 2018, there are still more than 17.6 million Filipinos living on less than $40 a month. We need to help lift more people out of poverty at a much faster rate. Half of the country's 108 million population in 2019 are below 25 years of age. Further economic growth of the country depends on whether these young people become healthier and more educated. However, the Philippines has one of the highest numbers of stunted children in the world. 1 in 3 children are short for their age. Teenage pregnancy is among the highest in the region. The number of women who die from pregnancy-related causes is too high, a trend that is caused by poor nutrition and lack of access to quality services. Decent jobs are hard to come by. The low-paying jobs available to the poor do not pay enough to live on, to provide food and education. Rapid urbanization and economic growth on top of climate change is not sustainable and is causing serious damage to the environment. Lastly, peace remains fragile, especially in conflict-affected areas such as the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. There can be no development without peace. The Philippines and the United Nations have agreed to work together to respond to these development challenges. The Partnership Framework for Sustainable Development, which was signed in November 2018, commits the Philippines and the United Nations to ensure a prosperous future for everyone in the country. The UN will use its global competence and experience working with the government to serve the people, to ensure that everyone in our society is healthy, food secure, and well-nourished. The vulnerable and underserved will be given particular attention, including women, children, people with disabilities, indigenous people, and those living in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. The partnership seeks to ensure that decent jobs are made available and pay fairly to provide for the needs of families. Urbanization and economic growth must be supported by environmental protection. The partnership will strengthen the Philippines' ability to respond to climate change, especially in the context of frequent natural disasters. Recent calamities and environmental challenges have shown that urbanization and economic growth cannot be achieved and sustained at the expense of the environment. Climate action, building resilience, and protecting the environment are essential to sustainable and inclusive economic growth to counter the worst effects of climate change. Just as importantly, the partnership framework emphasizes that sustainable and inclusive economic growth is impossible without just and lasting peace. Under the partnership framework, the Philippines and the United Nations will catalyze peace and respect for diversity through dialogue and conflict resolution in communities. By creating decent jobs and resilient livelihoods, poverty and underdevelopment, the root causes of most conflicts, will be addressed. People will also be empowered to lead and participate in governance processes. By 2023, the Philippines and the UN expect to pave the way for Annalyn, her family, and millions of others seeking a better life and livelihood. This will help accelerate their journey. This will also put the Philippines on a steady footing as it strides towards 2030, the finish line for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030.
The road that lies ahead of us is long. I do not know what awaits, but I am certain that my family and I, and everyone like us, are not alone in aspiring and working for the future we want, the future we need.
The Partnership Framework for Sustainable Development, the roadmap to development that leaves no one behind.